Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pawkettian Fundamentals video series. This is video number 16, and we are going to talk about rhythms, measures, beats, timing, and tempo. These are very important things to understand when you're going to play music, either by yourself or with other people. The whole concept of time is what keeps everything in check, in consistency, so that you can play along with other people, or so you could, like, I don't know, go out to listen to music and dance, or so if I want to go play in a band or something like that, I know where I'm supposed to be in the song. All of these things are very important. We call this time, right? And there are various ways to represent time and or to think about it. So the first thing is, when we talk about music, we like to think about what's called a beat. So a beat is a constant pulse that doesn't change. Right now I'm just tapping right here, or I could clap. And what I'm doing is trying to clap a consistent beat so that the space between each time I make this noise is relatively the same, right? How fast or slow the beat is what is called the tempo. So what we do is there's a little device right here called a metronome, and I talked about this before, and you could download one on your phone or your computer, or you could get a hard copy, as we call it, one of these, right? And what the metronome does is when I click it on, it makes a little flashy light and a noise. And theoretically, it keeps the beat consistent. Click, click, click. And this is going to allow us to be able to play in time. Now, metronomes have number markings on it. Now, this one right now, I have it set at 60. 60 means that there are going to be 60 clicks within a minute, which means that it's going to click on every second. So you're basically getting a beat a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I counted 60 of these off, it would be exactly 1 minute. If I put it at 120, that would be 2 beats every second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get 2 clicks every second. And then there's tons of different subdivisions. So there are different tempos as well. If I have, on this one it says right now, if I have something between 40, which is really slow, and 50, they're calling this largo, which means slow. Then you get larghetto, which is a little faster than that. Adagio, a little faster. Andante, not el dante, but andante, which means a little bit faster, right? Listen to that. And then you get moderato, moderately moving. And then after that, you get allegro. Allegro means fast, moving at a brisk pace, right? And then after that, you get presto, which means fast, very fast, right? So these are what are called general tempo markings. And this is a metronome. It'll allow you to keep the beat. Now, the next thing to kind of think about is, how are these beats managed in music? Well, whenever you have music, you generally are playing in what's called a certain time signature. And the time signature is how many beats we put into what's called a measure. And a measure is a literally a measured amount of musical time. Now, on paper, it'll look like these 2 bars kind of going up and down, and then there'll be stuff in between it. The most common amount of time within what's in a measure is what is called 4, or common time. That's why a lot of times when you hear a song getting called off, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that sets the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each time I hit 1 again, that's another what's called measure of music. So this is how we can be able to find our spot, you know. Some people will go, oh, well, that first part of the song has 10 measures in it, so you'd have to count 10 of those out, and it would be at this tempo, this fast or slow, right? So this is what is called, when you have 4 beats in a measure, most of the time we're going to think about it as in what's called 4/4 time or common time. Now, on this sheet, which is a basic time signature sheet, it's going to say 4/4 or C right here. And you'll see right here there are two lines going up and down, one here and one here. And then there are four what we call notes in between. These are what are called quarter notes. The 4/4 over here means two things. You see a fraction. The top number tells you how many beats are in the measure, 4. And the bottom number tells you what note gets the beat. And this 4 over here actually represents what's called the quarter note. So it makes sense. You get 4 quarter notes, and this is what a quarter note looks like. I'll show you in a minute on another piece of paper. A quarter note is a dot, a blackened dot with a line coming off the top, and that's it. That is a quarter note. It's getting 1/4 of the measure. So if I'm, have a measure of 4/4, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of these beats that I'm hitting is going to represent what's called a quarter note. Now, there are a bunch of other time signatures, but for now we're just going to kind of really talk about 4/4 right up here, or common time. Now, there'll also be a PDF of that sheet and of this one, and this is going to represent a bunch of different things. And we're really going to be worried about right now is talking about the divisions of what are called 4, 3, 2, and 1, really, to start with. So this is called a quarter note, and this has a dot with a line coming off the top of it, and that gets 1 beat. This is what is called, this little funny squiggly line over here is what is called a quarter rest, and that means you don't play for a beat. When I come up here, we're going to go to 2. If I have a circle, a hollowed out circle with a line coming off at the top, that gets 2 beats. So we hold that note for 2 beats. If I have this rest, which looks like a line with a black kind of rectangle on top, that means you don't play for 2 beats. Going up here, if I have a circled or a hollowed out note, circle with a line coming off with a dot next to it, that gets 3 beats. And the rest for that looks kind of like that little black top hat with a dot next to it. And last but not least, obviously, this is what is called a whole note. And it's just a circled or hollowed out note. And that gets 4 beats. And or I can have this, what looks like the upside down hat. And that means rest for 4 bars. So the most important notes are, this is a quarter note. And this is what it looks like. A black dot with a line coming off the top. This is called a half note. It looks the same, but it's hollowed out, and that gets 2 beats. This is called a dotted half note, which looks like the half note, but it has a dot after it, and that gets 3 beats. And this is called a whole note, which looks like a half note without the line coming off the top, and that is a whole note and gets 4 beats. And then once again, in the middle, this shows what the rest looks like. So, along with actually playing the note, the rhythm, you'd actually, be able to rest for that amount of time as well. This is a really important concept when you're talking about things. So going on, in the next few lessons, we're going to learn about what are called strumming patterns. Coming up soon, we're also going to be reading what's called rhythmized tablature. It's a way to kind of show people how to play guitar without reading what's called standard notation, but the rhythms are attached to it. So it's really important. I wanted everybody to understand the following concepts. Beat, that's the constant pulse that's going on. Tempo is how fast or slow that moves. A measure is a set number of beats in one particular thing, and the most common is what's called common time, or 4/4. That means there are 4 beats in a measure. And then there are a bunch of different notes you can have. You can have a quarter note, a solid dot with a line coming off top, that's worth 1 beat. A hollowed out note with a line coming off the top, that's a half note that gets 2 beats. A hollowed out note with a line and a dot next to it is called a dotted half note, and that gets 3 beats. Or a fully hollow note with nothing else attached to it, that's a whole note, and that gets 4 beats. And then you can have the rests that are also of equal value, and those are also on this basic rhythm value sheet. So we will talk a little bit more about this in the group class, but I just wanted to introduce times, what measures are, tempo, and basic rhythm figures. And this is once again video 16. Video 17, we're going to talk about chord progressions and hopefully getting to doing basic quarter note strumming through these progressions in 4/4. Have a great day, and I'll see you for video 17.